Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the National Museum of the American Indian. My name is Hayes Lavis, and I have the pleasure of working in the Cultural Arts Department here at the museum. This weekend, we are celebrating the Living Earth Festival. It's an annual festival that we've been doing now for more than 7 years, and we are looking at indigenous foods and healthy cooking, and we are specifically focusing on the potato. Can anyone tell me where the potato comes from? Call it out, please. Very good. The potatoes from Peru. How many species of potatoes are there in Peru? Okay, anyone else? Hundreds, actually thousands. There's more than 3,000 species. Not all of them are edible. Some of them are too bitter when they're cooked to even be edible. So we're very fortunate to have with us today Terri Ami and Loretta Oden. I will turn it over to Loretta Oden, who will be doing our moderation for the program. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Hayes. I'm standing back here with my cheat sheet. I hope we have some repeats from yesterday. We had a wonderful program yesterday, but welcome to today, Saturday, Chapter 2 of our potato series, our Papa series. I'd like to introduce Chef Terri Ami. She is an amazing young chef that I've worked with on the road. We travel a lot, and we're out there preaching the gospel of native foods to whomever will listen. So we're excited to be here in front of such a wonderful audience. Chef Ami is Hopi and Navajo. She has a deep appreciation and passion for the diversity of food culture. She attended Navajo Tech University in Crown Point, New Mexico, where she earned her AAS degree in Culinary Arts and Baking in 2010. She's worked with Chef Brian Tatsukawa and Chef Robert Witt from NTU, as well as with, I did this yesterday, Chef Sean Sherman, AKA the sous chef. We've both worked with him quite a bit, and whose culinary focus has been on revitalizing indigenous food systems in a modern culinary context. Chef Ami competed in the Chocolate Fantasy of Albuquerque competition that I'm so sorry I missed, because chocolate is one of those indigenous ingredients, foods that I just adore. It's absolutely wonderful. She won a second place award, and then not one, but 3 first place wins. Her other awards include 2 silver medals in Skills USA Restaurant Service Competition. She's worked in a lot of pretty intense kitchen situations. She's first place in an intertribal Indian ceremonial first annual dessert competition, because everyone has a great appreciation for dessert. She also competed as a sous chef where we met in Idlewild, California, in a Iron Chef Indian style competition. She served as sous chef to Chef Sean Sherman, the sous chef. Here we go. And they won. I was there. I was one of the judges. It was a hard pick, but they were absolutely fabulous. So, Terri, Chef Terri, thank you for being here. And she is going to be preparing a Peruvian purple potato and blue corn griddle cake with wild mushrooms and a blue corn sauce. So we'll get her started on that, and then I'm going to go over there and kind of look over her shoulder and see what secrets I can learn from her. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Terri Ami, and I come from the Four Corners area, Navajo Reservation, and I'm half Navajo, half Hopi, and my mother's from Crown Point, New Mexico, Salt Clan, and my father is Bear Clan from Palaca, Arizona. And today I'll be making a blue Peruvian potato griddle cake, and I threw in a sauce at the last minute, so I figured it'd be great. So what I'm doing for you right now is I boiled my potatoes, the Peruvian blue potatoes, and I'm gonna add 1 cup to a half a cup of blue cornmeal. And this is finely ground. There's different types of cornmeal. The one I get from New Mexico is, it's kind of a rough ground because we do make blue corn mush out of it. And back in the day, they had the stone grinding, and everything wasn't as fine. If you wanted it fine, you'd spend a lot more time grinding corn. And they had the ladies that were super strong. And so what I'm doing here is I'm just mashing up the potatoes that I had boiled, and I cooled them down because if they're hot, potatoes get really hot and you burn your hand. And you just kind of mash them up to how you feel, or how, when you're adding the blue corn mush, you might not want to add too much, just kind of add it in as you go. That way, if you won't add too much. And I have my baking powder here. The baking powder makes it rise a little. And also your egg. What your egg does is it infuses the potato to stay together, so that when you're cooking your potato cake, it will not fall apart on you. So,
What consistency are we looking for here, Chef?
I would say like a
Like a
thicker than a pancake. Yeah.
yeah, so you can form the griddle
Oh yeah,
cakes.
yeah.
And your mixers, your Cuisinarts, all of those things that we use. I mean, there's no better cooking tool in the kitchen than these tin fingers and hands. Just kind of smushing it all together until she gets it to the right consistency to make that griddle cake. And I'm going to get away so that I don't bug you too much, and you can tell us about the rest of the ingredients.
This is just regular kosher salt. You add to your taste. Salt always brings out flavor in anything. You can add a little or a lot, but I like to just bring out the flavor of the potato. I want to keep it a lot natural. And the other ingredient I just added here is pepper. Salt and pepper, always. And what I find salt is great at also using in desserts, just a little bit. It does amazingly bring out the flavor. It won't curb the sweetness. It'll just enhance ice cream. It'll enhance peanut butter. It's great. And this is a little bit of tarragon. I was getting my prep work ready, and of course I went through all their herbs and whatnot, so I just kind of picked out whatever. I got rosemary and tarragon that work well together. Tarragon kind of has a licorice flavor to it. That's how I see it. It's got a licorice flavor to it, and it adds a little bit of sweetness. And let's see. We had to start our iron skillets about 45 minutes ago in order for it to get hot. They weren't getting hot yesterday. And I have here olive oil. It's a lot healthier than using regular vegetable oil, or canola's good.
Hey, Chef Felicia, we have a hot skillet today. We a little thought ahead a little bit, because that thing needs to be just like that, sizzling.
Yes. And all I'm doing here is I'm forming the potato cake into just like a hamburger. And it's very simple. Let me add a little bit more. You can add, if you want small ones, you can make small ones. If you want larger ones, you can make larger ones. So I'm going to make a couple different varieties of these. And this is in a Hopi blue corn mush. This kind of looks like what we call the kitty ties. They're instead of blue potatoes, we have the blue corn mush, and it's kind of the same consistency. And you wrap them in corn husk, and it's got such a good flavor. They're sweet, and all it is roasted blue cornmeal and sugar, and it's wonderful. If you ever get out to Hopi, and if they ever have the kitty ties, just you have to try one. And
Those beautiful colors. The colors are just awesome. Colorful food is healthy food. So whatever you try to do on your dinner plate or whatever, put as many different colors on that plate as you can. That's good for you.
What I'm going to do now is I'm going to make a sauce out of I boiled the potatoes and I kept the water because the water is a natural starch it's a natural thickener. So I kept it so I can use it to make a sauce because I wanted some savory to go on top of the potato as well. And what did I? Oh, it's right here.
That's the potato water, and you're adding a little blue corn,
Blue cornmeal?
to make a sauce? Whoa.
Yes.
How about a little blue corn gravy?
Yes, that's kind of where it's going. It's going to end up, a lot of the starch, if it can get really thick, so I'm going to add a little bit of butter here. I know butter's not indigenous, but make a good sauce.
But it's good.
Yes.
Chef Terry, would that be the same mixture, the blue corn and the water that the amazing Hopi piki bread is made out of on the piki stones?
Oh, kind of, yes. It's more of a thick to a thin, maybe a medium grind course of the blue cornmeal.
Kind of like a
And
pancake
it's kind of
batter.
the same way, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Great.
you have your water on one side, and my grandma, in the Hopi way, they're called saya. My saya, she used to make piki, and I used to sit right next to her and just wonder how she can do it. They have the piki stone, and it is hot, hot, hot. And I just watch her dip her hands into the water. She goes, wipes it on her hand and just does that. And it's a constant, the water and the cornmeal, and she just puts it together in her hand, and she just keeps wiping it. And eventually, it'll just pop off. Kind of like what it's doing right here. It's just popping off. You got a little, well, you can barely see it, but it's paper thin, and it's delicious. And I'm just adding a little bit of purple onions to keep with the purple theme. Wild mushrooms. And again, I'm going to add some tarragon. Perfect. It depends on how thick your potato cakes are. It depends on how long. Cooking depends on how long and how thick you make your potatoes. If they're a lot thinner, of course, you're going to take a lot less time cooking your potato cake. And my sauce is a little thick right now, so I'm going to add a little bit more water. And usually you can use like a let's say a vegetarian, a veggie stock or chicken stock, whatever you like. If you want to keep it vegetarian, you can have a vegetarian stock to it instead of your potato water there. And also, there's really good stocks out there. Tarragon, and that's it. And we're all good. When they had asked me to do this, to come and cook for the Smithsonian, and they wanted me to do potatoes, I was thinking, potatoes? I don't, they're not a Four Corners, they're not from the Four Corners, mainly from the South America, but I started doing my research, and we did do a lot of trading, and we did do a lot of, like Felicia was saying the other day, there was cacao. There's some cacao plants, and that were found in some pottery, and it's amazing how we got shells up where we are, because that's another one of my names is a abalone shell. So on the Hopi side, that's who I am, is a bear in a shell. And so that's kind of like when I go out to different places, I look for abalone shells, or I look for something bare, and the salt clan. There's not really much different types of salt. There's Himalayan salts and that are great. Yeah, we can turn that. And that's your purple potato. And like I said, you can make them. You could probably even have your kids do them, because it's really fun to get right in there and just mash them up. And kids love to smash it up, and it's like Play-Doh. And you could probably use your little cookie cutters to make different shapes and whatnot. So it's a healthy snack for you. And you could do a variety of whatever you like, and it's endless, And but I was thinking the main things that come from Southwest area are corn, squash, and beans. Those are the three sisters, and it's great that they had all this trading. Back in the day, they hiked miles and miles and miles to go where they needed, they needed to trade. Like I said, shells. They did a lot of shells, and it's great. They had the Hopi runners, and they'd run long distances, and they would trade off. There'd be another village somewhere, and they would carry the message to that village, and then they would go off, and all the way on down the line, and yeah.
Smells so good over here. I had to get that aroma out to the audience. It's really beautiful, and look at the colors.
Yes.
I think I need a bite of that. And you'll just have to pretend. I'll be your taster,
Pretend. But any questions? Yeah. Where, I'm sorry? Oh.
Whole Foods.
Yeah, I'm new around here. I'm the new kid around here.
We're not from this neck of the woods.
Right.
Probably,
yeah, like
yeah,
Whole Foods, yeah.
Probably Whole Foods. I know that I found, blues and purples and yellow fingerlings and a lot of the different varieties of potatoes at Whole Foods, a farmer's market. Those places will usually have them available. So look for them, because the prettier the color, the better they're going to taste and the better they are for you.
You can also do another version of the potato cake with the sweet potatoes. That adds a nice sweet flavor. And maple syrup, I mean, just like I said, it's endless. Maple syrup, they have this here. I was just noticing it is maple syrup bourbon blend.
Oh, well,
Try a
that
little
down.
bit. Yeah.
That sounds pretty good.
I think it'd be great with your the yams, sweet potatoes. That's another.
Now that,
Animals?
yeah,
Yeah.
that's another animal. That's something interesting to bring up. Yes. Really, depending upon of course, the size of, how many people you're feeding,
Yes.
the size of your potatoes. But I'm thinking, like 1 potato per person, if they're kind of
Yeah,
a nice size.
I used 3 of this size, and I have a lot of dough here.
I wish
the-
I had a lot of dough.
The more, if you notice, it's changed colors. It got more turquoise, so I think that's part of the blue cornmeal and the potato mixed together, and the colors are just amazing. The potatoes, they're different flavors. They're more buttery. They're more nutty, and
You can just throw these on your grill. If you're cooking out, throw them on the grill. You can wrap them in foil or not. Put them in the oven whole, and then you just kind of smush them, and the color just blossoms. It's like a beautiful flower when you mash these, and they're exquisite. And literally, as we said before, thousands of varieties of potatoes. When I traveled through Bolivia and Peru, I was just blown away. The yam question, 2 different creatures altogether. Our potatoes from the Americas, our sweet potatoes are from the Americas. The yam actually has its origins in Africa. So in the grocery stores or wherever, we really kind of interchange them, yams, sweet potatoes, yams, but they really are 2 different potatoes, 2 different root vegetables. Yes?
Native Americans really didn't have sauce, so this is I'm kind of incorporating. I'm experimenting as well. The blue cornmeal just does that. It's cornmeal, and when you mix it with water, or this is the starch water from the potato.
Look
So
at that color.
the cornmeal and this will make it really thick, so it'll just stick together, and it'll peel off. That's she was asking me about the peaky bread. Peaky bread, or AKA paper bread, and the Hopis and the Tewas, they did a lot of that. They cook on a flat stone like this, and the stone is really super smooth, and they use the fat from the spine of the sheep. That's the best type of fat to get, and they melt it on there. And they have water on one side, and they have a little batch of cornmeal that they've made. It's really liquidy, so it's very runny. The blue cornmeal is very runny.
Almost like a really thin pancake
Right,
batter,
right.
And I've tried it in the restaurant on the flat top, and it doesn't work. And you have to have asbestos hands. So they start learning to make peaky from childhood on, and there's just no comparison to that made on a stone. I've never been able to duplicate it. It's just a very special, if you're ever in that part of the country or have access to it. It's P-I-K-I, and it's just like parchment paper, and they do the beautiful rolls. It's just, I crumble it up in a bowl of beans, and it's a ceremonial bread mostly, right?
Yes, they have them at different times of the year. Different times of the year. They also have the chili peaky bread. They have sweet peaky bread, and just they've been experimenting and trying new different things. There's yellow, there's red. The colors they have are so beautiful. And there's a what was Rose? Was it Rose Pearl? She's a piki maker. Ruby.
Ruby Chimerica.
There we go.
Yes. I'm
Yes.
just brains. Yeah, she's amazing. She's one of the people that we run into when we're out traveling. And Ruby travels with this amazing big piki stone. It just weighs. It's passed down through generations. You know, from woman to woman to woman, and it's has to be a particular type of stone that won't shatter because they're cooking over a wood fire. So kind of set the stone up on a couple of rocks,
Yeah, tilted.
cement blocks, whatever. And so the fire's underneath there, and that thing really gets hot. But it has to be the particular kind of stone, and you would know that better than I, so it doesn't shatter over that wood fire, you know, and just go. And so some of these stones are probably thousands of years old. And Ruby is just one of the masters of piki bread. I call it Hopi gold. I always carry it back home in a shoebox. Hand carry it on the plane. It's beautiful.
Did you have, yeah? You can, if you like. I peeled these, but yeah, the skin always holds a lot of the vitamins and whatnot. So, but I chose to peel mine today. So, but yeah, I like my skin on.
Yeah,
So.
the best part of the baked potato to me is the skin. The skin. It's really, really wonderful, and does really contain a lot of the nutrients. I'll save, you know, even scoop out the potato and put a little extra butter or olive oil on the skin and eat the skin. Yeah.
Some healthy butter. Any more questions?
Oh, fabulous. Well, thank all of you so very much. I'm not sure about the recipe, Hayes. We have the recipe cards out front. Recipe cards out front. Please help yourself. We have some beautiful product out front as well. And Chef Terri, just so delighted to work with you again, especially here at the National Museum of the American Indian. It's kind of cool to be here.
Yeah, I can't believe I'm here.
We thank you. Thank you very much.
So thank you for joining us. We'll be doing another cooking program tomorrow at 11:30. She'll be repeating, and then we'll also have a cooking program tomorrow at 2. So let's give a very, very warm thank you to Terri Ami and to our moderator. And thank you. If you want the recipe cards, they're out front.